Hello, dear sisters. Right now, I want to talk about a common relationship dynamic for women like us that are on the spiritual path, that are, communicating with our babies and wanting our babies. Um, this is just a really common relationship dynamic, and in all the readings, and I'm serious when I say all of them, at least 9 out of 10 readings I do, I pulled the marriage card or the love life card. And it means that upgrades are available, or upgrades are happening in the relationship, or upgrades are called for in the relationship. And not because we have to bring the spirit baby in, so we have to earn it that way, but just to get in the vibration of the higher vibration of it. So we're more aligned with the spirit baby energy. It's not to earn, it's not to deserve, it's just to align with it, But the relationship it's important to the spirit babies. So I just want to talk about ways that we women can upgrade the relationship without even involving our husbands in it. I've done, videos about this before, and I talk about it in my book even, of, ways we can just, write down or appreciate things about our husbands. But we're going to find different phases of ourselves on our spiritual journey, and then we're also going to just see those phases reflected in our relationship. So for me, not only do I feel like I've been spiritually ahead of my husband, I'm also a little bit older than he is, so I'm the wise one, And I bow to my husband now for, putting up with me and my spiritual superiority. What I used to do, I would learn something, and I think, well, I'm going to do that, but he has to do it too. And I would try and drag him on my path, because mine was the right path, and that was the path that he should be on. And I need to teach him and make sure that he's doing it. So how many years I spent trying to drag him on my path. And it wasn't until maybe just a couple of years ago that I realized, oh, he's got his own path, and it's valid, and it's important. And not only that, his slowness tends to ground me in ways that I would have just flown off into the stratosphere, had he not grounded me and slowed me down a little bit. So, I for so long felt like, oh my God, he's slowing me down and this is going to take forever. But it was necessary. It was necessary. So, the man's role is, to protect us. They love us seriously more than we can imagine. They probably do a better job, dear sister, I'm going to just say it, of loving us unconditionally. There's this saying that women marry men hoping to change them, and men marry women hoping they'll never change. And my husband has never demanded the things of me that I have demanded of him in what I thought was for his own good. So, the first thing we can do as spiritually evolved women is to stop trying to drag the men on the path by teaching them what we're doing, or preaching, or lecturing, or telling them what they're doing wrong. On some level, they get it. They agree to be part of this journey for us. So there is that some level that really gets it. In fact, I remember being blown away. I would read something in a book that, a book, spiritual book, and it would blow my mind. And a couple days later, he'd come out and say it of his own volition. I'm like, oh my God. I mean, that's happened a lot. And I think it's that made me finally realize, okay, he is on his own valid path. And it is just as important. So I stopped trying to verbally drag him on my path. And I even silently, in fact, I think I even voiced my apologies out loud to him, just saying, I'm sorry, I did this to you this whole time. I thought I was helping, but in some ways, dear sister, that's holding them back. it got to the point really where they can depend on us, that they learn not to depend on themselves. So when I stopped teaching and preaching and pulling him, I became more silent. And now that I am in the divine mind, I find that I'm even more silent. And what does that mean? It means, in the marriage dynamic, it's so easy to push each other's buttons and trigger each other. But when you are growing in your own divinity and when you're evolving, you realize that these triggers, are just not appealing to you anymore. The icky feelings and the button pushing, it's not as enticing. You don't really want anything to do with it. So I just had a conversation with a dear friend of mine. And there's so much I could do a whole course about the divine relationship, but just really quickly, a couple things we can do is stop talking so much and start loving more, a silent loving. So for my own husband, I had to realize that his path is really important. In fact, he's probably protected me more times than I can count. And he's absolutely aware of what's going on some level. So I honored that. I honored his own separate path, that it's valid and it's important, significant. He's not just here to be to carry out my orders, because honestly, I felt like that for a long time. And I always, how many times did I say, you're always holding me back. You're always, And then we can get into this spiritual thing, like we're all love and light, and they're still negative, and I can't count how many times in past years I've said, why is it always up to me to hold the light? And how come I always have to be in the good space? And that's okay. It's just part of the spiritual evolution. It's part of the marriage evolution. It's okay. I don't say that anymore, and it's such a relief. I'm quiet. I have learned when I'm quiet, when I don't try and pull him or teach him or preach him, if I'm just quiet and directing loving energy to him. So that's the only thing. I'm not ignoring him. I'm not ignoring him and thinking, oh my God, what the fuck is he talking about now? I just wish he'd shut the fuck up. Because I have done that in the past. What I do now is I look at him, I direct loving energy to him, but it doesn't mean I'm necessarily listening to him, especially if it's not something I want to hear, but I don't engage it. So as my friend and I were talking about yesterday, I don't react to the negativity because the negativity makes it real and my reaction drags me into it. So I don't react anymore. I listen to him, I look at him, and I direct loving energy to him. And this is what I say. And this concept is from A Course in Miracles, that when someone's attacking you, it's really just you attacking yourself. It's something that you are creating to show how you're feeling about yourself. If we can really take that to heart, then this is what we do. If he's saying something that I perceive as an attack, and I say this quietly, not out loud, because I'm silent, I just say, we are innocent, guilty of nothing. Because me affirming his innocence is me affirming my innocence. And so this is my catchphrase, sisters. And if you just do this in your relationships and stay silent, you're going to notice a huge, huge difference. They diffuse their own triggers. They stop pushing their own buttons. So if there's an attack, if there's a disagreement, if there's a negativity or something that's going on, realize that it's something that's being shown to you, and it's like an invitation. Do you want this or do you not want it? If you don't want it, you just affirm, we are innocent, guilty of nothing. And then I say, we are perfect and unlimited in my head, and I'm silent. And when we don't engage that way, the resolution comes about on its own through him. When we're directing that loving energy to them, it's like we're creating pathways for it to resolve within itself. So try that the next time you don't feel like being engaged in a battle or a trigger. And again, I really could do so much more about this. There's so much I could teach you that I could talk about to even practice myself about the divine relationship. But try that, just the even if you have to go into a different room, just, always affirm his innocence. When you're affirming his innocence, you're affirming your innocence. Um, and then just say, we're perfect and unlimited. Just quietly breathe, You don't have to hold the light with voice. Just do it with energy, and then everything will dissolve. Will resolve around that. I really could say so much more, so perhaps I'll do another video. But if this info, things can really change instantaneously, and when we're in a conversation, and this doesn't have to be just with our husbands, it can be with anyone, but we get most practice with our husbands. If they're working on an issue or hammering it over, if you just stay silent without trying to fix it or figure it out, just direct love. I've done this so many times. I just direct love to him. Like, I'm focused more on my own experience of him. Like, oh, you are perfect and you are so brilliant and you're a wonderful problem solver and you got this, is what I'm saying in my head. And they sort of find the gems on their own without us saying anything. So this is a large part of surrendering that I talk about. We surrender this to the Divine Mother, and when we surrender our own part in the relationship and just kind of sit back and say, Divine Mother, I'm letting you in to this discussion. I'm letting you in to my husband. I offer him to you. I'm offering our marriage to you. And we just stay silent and direct the love. The changes, I am not kidding, happen instantaneous. So try it. It's a little experiment. And if you like this, if it's working for you, the Divine Mother activation registration is open for 2 more days, but then I am closing it. So this is the sort of thing we're learning and practicing in there, is handing it all over, just being in that love and seeing things resolve around us in ways that we couldn't do with our voice or actions. But with our silent love and handing it to the divine, things can really, truly, miraculously change all things. All right. I love you. I'll talk to you soon.